What's up, people, and welcome to a video that I don't normally make. As I've said before, I usually make videos about stuff that I find interesting, or something that I've heard, or something that's happening. You know, it's all over the place. This would probably be considered one of my more political videos. I was driving home, and I was listening to a small fraction of this man describing basically the Soviet method of destabilizing a country, and enough of it piqued my interest to where I was like, all right, this is kind of in line with the way things are happening now. Now, I want to say, I'm going to preface this, that I am in no way, shape, or form a conspiracy theorist. However, a lot of what this guy says tracks with the way things are now in the US and most other Western countries that are dealing with current I'd poll bullshit, as I like to call it. And just to give a little bit of background information, the guy's name is Yuri Alexandrovich Bezmenov. And he was a Soviet journalist and a former KGB informant who defected to Canada. So I am going to pull up this video, and I only heard a small part of it, you know, enough of it to catch my interest. And I figured, well, I'll just watch the whole thing with you, you guys. And now I'm dying because my voice is apparently going out. Alright, I'm back. I'm better. So I'm going to pull this up on Reddit because I do not want to pull up somebody else's YouTube video. And my voice is still going out. I don't know why. It just decided to happen. Let's see. Okay, here's the Reddit post that I found from a year ago. And I'm going to move myself over here. We're going to make this full screen. I'm going to make myself tiny because you guys don't need to see me that big while we're listening to this. I should probably put my headphones on because, like I said, I did not hear all of this. I only heard a little bit. Alright, here we go. Give me 1 second to... There. Alright, we're good.
Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand.
Ideological subversion.
When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the process which is legitimate, overt, and open. You can see it with your own eyes. All you have to do, all American mass media has to do, is to unplug their bananas from their ears, open up their eyes, and they can see it. There is no mystery. There is nothing to do with espionage. I know that espionage intelligence gathering looks more romantic. It sells more deodorants through the advertising, probably. That's why your Hollywood producers are so crazy about James Bond type of thrillers. But in reality, the main emphasis of the KGB is not in the area of intelligence at all. According to my opinion, and opinion of many defectors of my caliber, only about 15% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85%...
So when he says espionage, you know, they're thinking about, like you see in the movies, or they're planting bombs, and, you know, they're inserting people into the government to, you know, steal classified documents, shit like that.
Is a slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions.
So that right there, despite seeing it with your own eyes and seeing it, you know, all over the place, and the media constantly telling you, oh no, it's not happening. You know, colleges saying, oh, it's not happening. Even though you know it's happening, right? You've seen it happen. Now, one reason that this interests me is not because I think the Russians are doing anything, but I think that the US government, again, here comes the tinfoil hat bullshit that everybody's going to say, oh, you're crazy. No. Look at all the politicians to date, right? They're all old. All of these people were around during the Cold War. You know, these people have been career politicians their entire lives, longer than I've been alive, right? And to say that they probably didn't pick up a few tricks from, the Russian government would be kind of a reach. They had to have at least learned some of their tricks.
In the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words,
now in this case he's saying the enemy, but we're not looking at this from a lens of Russia and China doing this. Now there could be an argument made that China might be engaging this given TikTok, right? And other types of social media influencing that both Russia and China do, and including the U.S. government. The government has their hands in all of this shit. Our government, not some foreign government.
Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or
And notice at the start of this, and I know I'm sorry I'm pausing this, but I got to keep giving some commentary here. Notice that he's saying students, right? And you could say that a lot of this culture war ideological bullshit is from the current crop of students. Yes? All the shit happening on college campuses, all the stuff that you see popping up about middle schools and high schools, it's from the younger generations, not my generation. I'm maybe a little bit of it, it may have started with millennials, right? And none of this stuff was a thing. In the video I watched earlier, they were talking about how in 2012 there was a spike in the mentioning of social justice, racism, bigotry, all these buzzwords that everybody likes to throw around now. All of a sudden in 2012 just went through the roof when they weren't being talked about before.
Counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see. Most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You are stuck with them. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information, even if you prove that white is white and black is black. You still cannot change the basic perception and the logic of behavior. In other words, these people, the process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. To get rid society of these people, you need another 20 or 15 years to educate a new generation of patriotically minded and common sense people who would be acting in favor and in the interests of the United States society.
And yet these people who have been programmed and, as you say, in place, and who are favorable to an opening with the Soviet concept, these are the very people who would be marked for extermination in this country?
Most of them, yes. Simply because the psychological shock when they will see in future what the beautiful society of equality and social justice means in practice, obviously they will revolt.
This is old. This is old. Okay? This is not from a year or two ago. This is old. And this is where we're at. Kind of scary, right?
They will be very unhappy, frustrated people. And the Marxist-Leninist regime does not tolerate these people. They will join the links of dissenters, dissidents. Yes. Unlike in present United States, there will be...
Notice how he says that Marxists and Leninists wouldn't tolerate this shit. one example would be like the trans people for Hamas, right? Why are you so pro a culture that literally hates you? Because they're seeing all this quote unquote hate around them here in the United States that doesn't even touch what would happen in a fully Muslim country if you went over there screaming, you know, LGBTQ rights, holding up a sign, this, that, and the other. They would fucking kill you. That's not happening here. You want to go out and protest? Go protest. Nobody's chopping you off and throwing you off, you know, chopping off body parts and throwing you off of buildings. But they act like that, right? They act like that's happening here.
No place for dissent in future Marxist-Leninist America. Here you can get popular like Daniel Ellsberg and filthy rich like Jane Fonda for being dissident, for criticizing your Pentagon. In future, these people will be simply squashed like cockroaches. Nobody is going to pay them nothing for their beautiful, noble ideas of equality. This they don't understand, and it will be greatest shock for them, of course. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore.
Just like now, you have people that are so ingrained in their ideology that even if you make sense, even if you can point to facts, even if you can sit there till you're blue in the face saying, I saw this with my own eyes, they will not believe you. They're going to call you a bigot and a racist and all these other words that they can throw at you, even if it's the objective truth, right? No matter how much you want to tell these people, hey, this isn't right, that's not how this is, they're going to sit there and argue with you and tell you, nope, you're wrong, I'm right. And it's happening more and more and more and more. Everything he is saying is happening.
A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. So basically America is stuck with demoralization, and unless, even if you start right now, here, this minute, you start educating new generation of Americans, it will still take you 15 to 20 years to turn the tide of ideological perception of reality back to normalcy and patriotism.
And I'm hoping that we're reaching that point where people are going to stop kowtowing to people that will happily tell you that they have a mental illness, but that you're somehow supposed to bow down to them and cater to them. Why? And it's to the point, as he mentions, where even people like myself, and I consider myself a moderate, I'm not too far right, I'm not too far left, I can take things from both sides, good, bad, what have you. You're seeing it more and more and more and more of people just going along with it, even though they know it's wrong, right? But that's because nobody wants to upset the status quo that has been put in place.
The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, it doesn't matter anymore. This time,
what airline was it that just did that? It was like, oh, you're morbidly obese? Here, we'll give you a free seat and then you can take up the entire aisle. Oh, we don't want to say anything bad to you. We don't want to We don't want to insult you. We don't want to be rude. Here you go. Free stuff. You know what? Fuck it. Just take the whole plane. You can have the whole plane.
Time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. What matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could.
The U.S. Army stopped with the patriotic recruitment ads and went full-blown diversity, equity, inclusion to recruit people into the Army. Do you think that these people are going to join the fucking Army? No! Why are you focusing on a section of the population that is the least likely to join the Army, the armed forces? Make it make sense. It doesn't, right? Up until recently, now that there's conflict in the Middle East, now you're seeing the old recruitment ads coming back, with white, blacks, and Mexicans all shooting guns and being patriotic and shit. Now that there's a conflict. But before that, nope, here's my my Army recruitment ad about this non-binary lesbian chick with 2 mothers. I'm sorry, what? How does any of that matter when you're getting shot at? It doesn't.
Could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy.
Notice what he just said. All these goodies and paradise on earth. We as human beings cannot coexist like that. It is literally impossible. Right? We can't. And that's where you see all this hardcore progressive ideology acting like, oh, we're going to be one big utopia. It is never going to happen. No matter how nice it sounds. It's impossible. It won't happen. But they're, the idea behind that is, oh, we're going to make it happen. Obviously you're closed-minded and this, that, and the other. Again, more buzzwords. They're going to insult you and call you every name in the book in order to reach this so-called utopia of whatever they see through their lens of ideology of what a perfect society should be, right? Which is not going to happen.
Economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C.
They support the government
with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. He will go to Moscow to kiss the bottoms of new generation of Soviet assassins. Never mind. He will create false illusions that the situation is under control. Situation is not under control. Situation is disgustingly.
Look how often the administration, the current administration, the Biden administration, is saying, oh, everything's fine. A loaf of bread is $5 a loaf, but, everything's fine. Oh, there's, tens of thousands of immigrants streaming over the border every single day. Oh, no, it's fine. We have to help these people, right? Oh, inflation? No. No, you're making more money now. So therefore you can afford it, right? No matter how bad it gets, and you can see it with your own eyes, you can feel it in your paychecks, they're going to keep lying to your face and telling you, no, it's fine. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. You're fine. Everything's fine. Here, look at this other thing. Here, let's talk about, look at those people over there. See how racist they are? Oh, no, look at those people. Those are bigots. Oh, wait, what about white supremacy? That's happening over here. They're not talking about the actual issues. They're pointing you in a different direction for people to fight over because they know it's going to be a point of contention, right? And you see it happening every week. Karine Jean-Pierre, that is the one person in office holding a government position that gets paid to stand up there and lie to your face every single fucking time. Even though you know she's lying. What can you do about it? Nothing. She gets paid to do that. Plain and simple. Hell, most press secretaries are paid to do that. All of them have done that. Now it's a little bit more obvious and a little bit more blatant, but to just say that she's the only one that's ever done that would be disingenuous. They all fucking do it. All these politicians do it. Presidents constantly do it. It's just that now it's more visible, right? It's more in your face when they sit there and they tell you all these things are fine and you know they're not fine.
Out of control. Most of the American politicians, media, and educational system trains another generation of people who think they are living at a peacetime.
And that was the one thing I didn't bring up was the media, mainstream media, MSNBC, CNN, all these corporations doing the exact same thing, deflecting from what's actually going on, even though you know what's happening, and pointing, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, how in 2012, all these things spiked out of nowhere. Nobody cared. If you were trans, nobody cared. If you were gay, nobody cared. When I was growing up, nobody gave a shit about any of that. And when I say when I was growing up, I mean up until my early 20s. Nobody cared. Now it's everywhere. We're going fucking backwards. When I went to school, I went to a private Christian school. And it was a mixed bag of whites, Hispanics, blacks, Asians. And now, all of a sudden, everything is racist. Right? Me. I'm half white, half Mexican. I'm not even white. I'm not even a full-blown white person. You don't see me sitting here screaming about people of color, etc. You know, screaming about the border. In fact, I am hardcore border protection. As we should be, because my grandparents came over legally, and that's a whole different video. But, you know, we're going backwards at this point. And it's getting worse. And I'm hoping, after you guys watch this video with me, that you will see this stuff more. That you'll notice it more, like I've been noticing it. And again, I'm not even a conspiracy theorist, but when they're telling you that you're wrong, and that what you're seeing with your own eyes is, you know, not true, I'm sorry, don't let anybody fucking gaslight you like that.
False. The United States is in a state of war, undeclared total war against the basic principles and the foundations of this system.
That's where we're at.
And the initiator of this war is not Comrade Andropov, of course. It's the system. However ridiculous it may sound, the world communist system or the world communist conspiracy, whether I scare some people or not, I don't give a hoot. If you are not scared by now, nothing can scare you. But you don't have to be paranoid about it. What actually happens now, that unlike myself, you have literally several years to live on unless the United States wake up. The time bomb is ticking. With every second, the disaster is coming closer and closer. Unlike myself, you will have nowhere to defect to, unless you want to live in Antarctica with penguins. This is it. This is the last country of freedom and possibility.
Okay, so what do we do? What is your recommendation to the American people?
Well, the immediate thing that comes to my mind is, of course, there must be a very strong national effort to educate people in the spirit of real patriotism, number one. Number two, to explain them the real danger of socialist, communist, whatever, welfare state, big brother government. If people will fail to grasp the impending danger of that development, nothing ever can help United States. You may kiss goodbye to your freedom, including freedoms to homosexuals, to prison inmate. All this freedom will vanish, evaporate in 5 seconds.
and I hate that I'm having to pause this so often because everything he is saying is coming true. At one point, the US was rooting out communism, and now you can't go to a single college campus without finding some communist club. You can't go online without seeing people touting communism. Socialism. Look, my biggest argument against all these people that are pro-communist that have a fucking hammer and sickle in their name or their bio or whatever. One name for you. Pol Pot. Motherfuckers. Go ahead. If you don't know who that is, Pol Pot. P-O-L-P-O-T. Go ahead and look him up. Let me know how you feel about communism after that. And, oh, the video's gone. Did it get taken down already? No way. Okay. Now I have to find where we were. Let's see.
Is, of course, there must be a very strong national effort to educate people in
okay, thank God.
in the spirit of real patriotism, number one. Number two, to explain them the real danger of socialist, communist, whatever, welfare state, big brother government. If people will fail to grasp the impending danger of that development,
I was like, oh shit,
nothing
they found out they
ever
were
can
making the
help the
video.
United States.
They
You
took
may
it
kiss
down.
goodbye to your freedom, including freedoms to homosexuals, to prison inmate. All these freedoms
Just to
will
reiterate
vanish,
that point.
evaporate in 5 seconds, including your precious lives. The second thing, the moment at least part of the United States population is convinced that the danger is real, they have to force their government. And I'm not talking about sending letters, signing petitions, and all this beautiful, noble activity. I'm talking about forcing United States government to stop aiding communism. Because there is no other problem more burning and urgent than to stop the Soviet military-industrial complex from destroying whatever is left of the free world. And it is very easy to do. No credits, no technology, no money, no political or diplomatic recognition, and of course no such idiocy as grain deals to USSR.
It's happening in our
The
own
Soviet
government.
people, 270 millions of Soviets, will be eternally thankful to you if you stop aiding a bunch of murderers who sit now in Kremlin and whom President Reagan respectfully calls government. They do not govern anything, least of all such complexity as the Soviet economy. So two very simple, maybe too simplistic answers or solutions, but nevertheless they are the only solutions. Educate yourself, understand what's going on around you. You are not living at a time of peace. You are in a state of war, and you have precious little time to save yourself. You don't have much time, especially if you are talking about young generation. There's not much time left for convulsions to the beautiful disco music. Very soon it will go, just overnight. If we are talking about capitalists or wealthy businessmen, I think they are selling the rope on which they will hang very soon. If they don't stop, if they cannot.
All these businesses and corporations, blatantly putting this ideology first, even though they're losing money. We know they're losing money, no matter how much people want to tell you that they're not. I can name at least 5 different corporations on my hand that have lost money by pushing DEI shit over profit, right? And I know a lot of y'all can too. Even though, again, people will argue till they're blue in the face. No, that's not happening. They're not losing money. You're just a bigot. I can see their stocks. They're not doing so hot. I'm just saying. And again, this is during the Cold War. This man is talking about the era during the Cold War. And it's happening right now. Literally happening now.
Curb the unsettled desire for profit. And if they keep on trading with the monster of the Soviet communism, they are going to hang very soon. And they will pray to be killed, but unfortunately they will be sent to Alaska probably to manage industry of slaves. It's simplistic. I know it sounds unpleasant. I know Americans don't like to listen to things which are unpleasant. But I have defected not to tell you the stories about such idiocy as microfilm, James Bond type espionage. This is garbage. You don't need any espionage anymore. I have come to talk about survival. It's a question of survival of this system. You may ask me, what is it in for me? Survival, obviously, because unlike, as I said, I am now in your boat. If we sing together, we'll sing beautifully together. There is no other place on this planet to defect to.
So there you go. Yuri Bezmenov, a former propagandist for the KGB, predicted this culture war bullshit that we're in right now. And I swear there's going to be people in the comments that are arguing with me, oh, no, this is not that big a deal. You're literally doing what he said you would do. I mean, Cold War era KGB propagandist predicted the exact same shit that the American government is doing to us right now. Now, whether that's by design of the US government and the quote-unquote deep state, or some other outside actor, i.e. Russia. Russia's still in play. China's in play. Both of those are communist countries. If it's them, they're winning at this point. And we are losing. As American citizens, we are losing. Why? Because this stuff is gaining traction in younger people so fucking fast, it's not even funny. And then people like me, I'm 38 years old and I can see this shit happening. Older people can see it happening. The younger generation is in trouble at this point. And hopefully you guys watch this entire video with me, because like I said, this is the first time I've seen the whole thing. And now that I've heard the whole thing, that's fucking scary. That he got all this right. And it's happening now. And people just have the blinders on, like, oh, nope. No, everything's good. We're fine. Everything's fine. It's insane. It is the highest level of gaslighting I have ever seen in my life from the media and the government. I have no words for it because it's nuts. And, you know, what can you do about it? Outside of people, like he said, waking up and realizing what's going on, I'm hoping that we're shifting more towards that, especially what happened recently with that the Delta Airlines guy pushing back against somebody being like, oh, well, you misgendered me, and, you know, that's a human rights violation. It's not a human rights violation. He hurt your feelings. Go on about your day. You know, like Candace Owens says, and I don't even like Candace Owens. But same thing. Put a helmet on. Right? We need to get back to where we were, where everybody respects each other. Nobody gives a shit who you sleep with or what you sleep with. Just do your own thing. And, you know, let's hopefully not drive this fucking country into the ground in the process. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, goodbye.